that the prime agenda is to alter our chemical structure in our body, because you have to remember that these chemicals, these xenoestrogens and these endocrine disrupting chemicals, are designed to specifically attack our endocrine system, which is our hormonal system. And it's not just BPA. Like I was saying earlier, there's so much glyphosate and so much atrazine in the water supply. It's hard to avoid this stuff. I mean, a matter of fact, you can take people that have been juicing and raw vegans and do blood work on them. Over 90% of the population has detectable levels of endocrine disrupting chemicals in their blood. All these things do is disrupt your hormones. So the end game is population control, sterility. When you feel like a woman, or feel like, if you're a woman that feels like a man, you're creating depression, you're creating anxiety, you're creating more money to put you, diagnose you with mental illness. You're exposed. These endocrine disrupting chemicals can have such a damaging effect at parts per billion, which means you only need tiny, tiny, tiny amounts of them. And it is causing sterility, low sperm count in men, infertility. It's causing breast cancer in women, prostate cancer. So there's a lot of different things, I think, that we're getting into. We are like, these chemicals are creating almost like a transgender society. They're the boys that are being born. There's like 7 girls being born in some countries to every 1 boy, because like you said earlier, if you have a lot of these chemicals, it doesn't allow you to change into a boy, because we're really all made as female, and then we eventually become a boy in the womb. But the restriction of this in some countries that have high levels of endocrine disrupting chemicals, you're seeing 7 women being born to every 1 boy. Not only that, you have the accumulation of all these chemicals and toxins that are coming in to the body, that are mixing with these endocrine disrupting chemicals, like the GMO foods, the gluten, which now has chemical structure of opiates inside of it, which is addictive and bread.
And that's why if you look at pictures of people, black, white, I don't care, from 100 years ago, 50 years ago, they look like people. They looked good. Everybody kind of looks like mutants now, some more than others. Women don't look like women at the beach. And when you see a classical looking woman, it's like, wow, she looks like a woman. And then, so no one notices, they roll out and go, men want to be girls now, and add the social structure to make it acceptable to mainline it, moving us towards a completely asexual system where we're all sterile. Now, 90+% sperm drop across the Western world. Brazil and others, just decades after adopting our lifestyle, they're now seeing it. It is a plan. It is a globalist plan stated by them.
Absolutely. I mean, the FDA, first of all, in 2008 said that BPA was fine and nothing's wrong with it. And then when Canada yanked BPA, the baby bottles off, and then Walmart decided to yank all the baby bottles in the U.S., in 2010, the FDA then finally admitted that the National Toxicology Program studies were correct, and that BPA was damaging to the brain, behavior, prostate gland, fetuses, children, but they didn't do anything about it. It's just all these government organizations that are designed to do something and protect us, like the EPA, the Atomic Energy Commission, the USDA, the TSA. I mean, all these generic organizations that are out there are not doing anything to protect us, but they're just attacking the natural people and the people that are trying to rally and through activism shut these companies down that are damaging not only the people, but also damaging the planet. Like you said, we're not the only ones affected by this. All the animals are starting to become affected. The bees, that's the whole ecosystem that we live in.
You can search that in the Mississippi River and out in the Gulf, upwards of half the fish in some of the trawls they do have both sexual organs, or are sterile, or have sexual organs growing on the sides of their bodies. I mean, they are so mutated because when they're embryos, we know fish and amphibian embryos are even more easily affected because they're in the water itself, not inside their mother. The mother acts as some form of a filter that with the fish and embryos, they're getting a full dose, and it is just devastating them. But see, we're now being tranny fishophobic because we're trying to be mean to the sexual preference of the fish. No, the fish is mutated. The fish is dying. But now that people have been changed, they want to hold on to this chemical identity, and they want to go all the way with more chemicals to become the woman, to become the man. And it's just a really sick scientific program that Huxley wrote a fiction book about, but later admitted. How crazy is it that his brother ran the UN UNESCO program, was the top eugenicist in the world, and the founder of transhumanism, set our current course. His brother wrote a book about it, and then admitted in his other book, Brave New World Revisited, that it was an actual plan. So we have this mountain of a literary famous person telling us this isn't fiction, and we're here living now deeply into this as our whole world is being hijacked by these mad scientists, and the average trendy doesn't care and wants to eat chemicals that won't just change their sexuality and bare minimum make them metrosexual, but they want the cancer, I guess. They want to be sterile. Because I hear them. I see their comments. They go, good, I don't want to have kids. I'm glad they're sterilizing me. Humanity sucks anyways. I mean, it's this give-up attitude that is just insane.
Right. Well, even in 2011, Harvard School of Health published a study in the Journal of Pediatrics and found that pregnant mothers' exposure to BPA and other endocrine-disrupting chemicals correlated with hyperactivity, anxiety, aggression, depression, ADD, and ADHD for the child. So, again, you have to look at all these conditions as being caused by some form of chemical coming into the body that's disrupting your normal brain activity.
Sure. Well, I used to be against folks hearing people that did testosterone replacement, but the more I research it and everything, and doctors are in the news admitting that men's testosterone, by the time they're 40, is half on average what it used to be. There is a war on the literal male chemical.
The scary part about it is, there's a good news to it because there's a lot of things we can do to avoid these things and clean our body to prevent this thing from happening. But the scary thing is, the done by design, this really will affect you for 4 generations. This changes your genetic code. It literally changes the way your DNA is and can affect you. And the studies have been done on mice at University of Virginia School of Medicine, actually, that showed that 4 generations later, these mice were still affected. So we're starting to get into these generational cycles, and it's sad to think that the next 4 generations can be affected by all these chemicals. And it's not like we're slowing down and eliminating the chemicals. It's getting worse, and there's more glyphosate and more of these chemicals being sprayed and put in all of our food supply, the water, and everything else.
I want to go to phone calls and keep you a little bit in the next hour. And then we've got a major media owner coming on to talk about the war on free speech and the war globally on internet freedom that we find in the TPP. But before we do that, I didn't plug anything last hour. I'm skipping a ton of network breaks. I'm so obnoxious. We fund ourselves with high-quality water filtration systems to cut out the fluoride and the garbage, the glyphosates, with the ProPure G2 systems that blow away the competition at InfoWarsStore.com. We have gotten in the T-shirts that we have had made that say Save America with an upside-down flag. And then it has the U.S. code that when the country is in dire straits, you are to fly the flag upside down. It's a great conversation starter. On the back, it says, our republic is in distress. Ask me why, Infowars.com. Purchasing the Patriot apparel helps fund the operation. We are running out of the current stock of Survival Shield X2. Hopefully, we'll just be out a month or so. Dr. Group has a small amount left at his major factory laboratory that's been produced. He does have more of the crystals that are mined from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet. That supply is running low. You'll have to procure more. We ended up finding this source 2 years ago, the cleanest ever sold, ever used that we've been able to find. It's a game changer. The other stuff comes from kelp sources, which just isn't as strong or pure. It's a lot better than not having iodine. You'll die without it. But that's why this is so much more palatable. It's why the effect is so much stronger. There was a guy playing the accordion at an Italian food restaurant I was at last night, and he ran over and was a listener. And he said, listen, I took that stuff, and I had to cut my dose in half. I totally detoxed, lost a bunch of weight, got healthier, broke out everywhere. All these toxins came out. I've had so much more energy, but boy, it's good you tell people, look out. Yeah, consult a physician, okay, or consult a nutritionist or whatever. This is the most powerful iodine out there. Other stuff they sell at the store will eat holes in your guts, stuff you put on topically. So again, consult your physician, but this is a major game changer. That's why I've stockpiled it. And I realize as we're running out of it, we were having trouble getting another super clean source, and that's how we ended up finding this 2 years ago. And so, Dr. Group, I know you want to get into Fukushima separately, and the news article right here, leaked Fukushima containers could lead to hydrogen explosions, RT. There's 333 of the containers. Each one could be as big as one of the other meltdowns. But I don't really take this just because of background radiation increasing or isotopes or whatever. I take it because I understand my glands will get filled with bad halogens, become toxic and fail, like the thyroid, if they don't fill it with good halogen. And when I forget, and that's iodine, to take my iodine every day, I feel it. I mean, it gives me a bigger boost than a cup of coffee. And I always remember hearing this from the hippies. Like I said, 20-something years ago, I'd go to Barton Springs and see hippies, and I'd say, what's that in that jug or that bottle? And they'd say, it's iodine. They'd be just, super good shape, some like 70-year-old guy looking like he was 40. And I'd be like, and then they'd go, yeah, hippie, whatever. But I remember, this is something the hippies have always known. What is it about iodine? What does it do? And I sure hope we can continue to get these deep earth crystal sources, Dr. Group.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you drill from deep down in the earth, you might have a time where, just like oil drilling, where it might dry up a little bit and you need to find some more. But another thing that I think is going on, and this is proven by what just happened a few days ago at Fukushima, when they're saying that Fukushima is leaking again now, and it's the worst ever, the readings in the port in Fukushima. I think that countries are now secretly trying to stock up on a lot of iodine. It's, iodine contamination, iodine 131 is being found now in the rain and milk supplies and the food supplies. But like you said, it's not only in the radioactive iodine. And another thing actually that happens is, as that iodine is leaking into the Atlantic Ocean, it also mixes with salt water. And when you mix iodine with salt, it creates iodides. And it can even produce nanoparticles of weird substances that can even be gassed off and go up into the atmosphere for a while. But my research with iodine is that everybody pretty much needs it. We're all deficient in iodine because there's really not any sources of iodine left. And guess what? We've been talking about estrogen dominance and endocrine disrupting chemicals. Well, estrogen actually inhibits the absorption of iodine. So you might actually link that and say, is there a conspiracy behind the endocrine disrupting chemicals, knowing that you're not going to be able to get iodine, the absorption of iodine, if you have those chemicals in, which would mean soy or anything else. Now, the government sets an RDA of 150 micrograms a day, but they set that because that was the amount that would prevent a goiter. But they know that everybody needs much more iodine in their system, even up to, what I take, sometimes even up to 20 milligrams a day, which is 20,000 micrograms. I agree with you. Everybody needs to consult with their healthcare practitioner. But if you look around, we're seeing a massive increase in breast cancer, fibrocystic breast disease. We're talking about any type of glandular, prostate gland. All these things are affected by iodine, being iodine deficient. The thyroid needs about 6,000 micrograms, 3,000 to 6,000 micrograms every single day just for normal functioning. So if you're not sweating, you might be deficient in iodine. If you have cold hands and feet, if your skin is dry, you have insomnia, hair loss, mental illness, again linked to iodine deficiency, depression, anxiety, low immune system, weight gain. Pregnancy and miscarriages are being linked to iodine deficiency. Fibromyalgia is a deficiency. Iodine